Good afternoon, everyone. This is Anthony Thorpe again with another insert of just commentary on what's going on. It's now January 27th, 2023, 1:26 p.m. I'm again by the water. The intercoastal relaxes me. And it's slightly overcast, but it's nice and cool. Another perfect day in Florida. Yesterday was pretty windy in the day before, which resulted in the video I had done being quite noisy. So that was it. But at least it's the natural elements that you're dealing with. So I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say, to make my little contribution to humanity, to our Jamaican population and relatives, friends, cousins, you name it, both in Jamaica and all over the planet, because we're scattered all over. But that said, it's been, of course, in the news about Mr. Bolt, and a lot of expectations from persons and speculations and what's going to happen, and the FBI is there and you name it. But as I've said, the really significant thing about the events that transpired regarding Mr. Bolt is that he has brought, or his experience, bad experience I might add, is bringing the attention to corruption and fraud that's commonplace in Jamaica. In fact, we are having an epidemic, in fact I should say pandemic, of fraud and corruption in Jamaica across the board, across various government entities and bodies that are there to protect the interest of the people and the country and the Constitution. And that binds us as a nation, and it's the only thing that's going to keep us sane. But once we start violating that and putting a blind eye to corruption, the events that led up to millions of dollars being stolen from accounts or investment accounts, regardless of whether it's a bank or not, money was stolen. Apparently, we're not sure of all the persons who were involved in the theft, but certainly there was a conspiracy involved, and it's more than obvious. And we don't need the FBI to tell us that. We knew that before the FBI was called in. We knew the problems. We know how to solve it, but nothing is being done at the local level or at the national level to stop this corruption and fraud. Absolutely nothing. Every now and then we grab a sacrificial lamb, somebody low level, and we talk about scamming, people scamming abroad, people scamming here, people committing fraud. But ultimately the bottom line is the persons who are responsible for making sure we fix these issues aren't doing their jobs. And it brings us to one of the decisions as a people we have to make. We have to come up with penalties that when these individuals fail to perform what their given responsibilities are, then we should immediately dismiss them. And that's across the board. So all those persons that were involved, whether complicit directly or indirectly, resulting in corruption and fraud that led to millions of dollars and billions of dollars being taken out of persons' investment portfolio, should be immediately put on suspension or dismissed. There is no reason for us to keep keeping these people on the job, paying them, while we know exactly that their actions or lack thereof resulted in the corruption. It's sad that we had to bring in or invite in the FBI. Even though I think that's largely optics, it's being done to bring persons to say, oh well, something significant is being done. The offensive nature of that invite, though, is that the Jamaican people are incapable of running our own affairs. A simple thing like corruption that everybody knows exists and has been existing in these bodies, financial institutions, government or otherwise, we are well aware that it does exist. And why is it that we have to call in the FBI, who technically has no jurisdiction, to prove that? So my conclusion is optics. And when I say optics, I'm saying it's being done merely to, again, convince the ordinary people to quiet down. Because something is being done, is being done major. But I say it's very offensive from a number of perspectives. One, the sovereignty of this country. We shouldn't have international law enforcement from another jurisdiction, another country, another sovereign nation coming in to run any of our law enforcement business. Yes, there's cooperation between bodies outside our borders, and to catch persons who are operating outside our borders or through our borders that affect their countries. We could understand that level of cooperation, where officers and law enforcement here gather data and share that data with international law enforcement bodies, including the FBI. So it's offensive from that perspective. It's offensive from the perspective that it diminishes our intellect and our intelligence as a people. Because if we are incapable of shutting down corruption that we know is existing, and then we're relying on a foreign entity to come in and do it, then something is wrong with our ability to manage our own affairs. Which again goes back to, I think it was Gerald Ford, or was it Nixon? Was Nixon had said when Jamaica gained its independence, that nation is going to be a failed state. It's going to crash because those effing, and he did use the term effing. I'm saying effing, but he spelled it out. Those effing niggers can't run anything. All right, so again, we are walking right into the stereotypic behavior that's displayed and expressed about our people, and that black people can't run anything, and that's not true. That's far from the truth. It's just that we have a bunch of people who have chosen to ignore their responsibility, and their loyalty is just to the dollar, not realizing that undermining the very system and your country is the very thing that's going to destroy the dollar that you are fighting so hard to get hold of. And it's sad because when you undermine your own country, you're undermining your ability or your opportunities to access the rest of the world, because nobody wants to have persons who are generalized as criminals coming into their country. But that's why we've been tolerating and allowing, and we've put persons in places of government and law enforcement. And again, I'll go back to the judiciary, because that's my major growth right now, is that we have persons in places that should not be there, and we know they shouldn't be there, but we won't do anything about it. So again, there are a number of drawbacks to the invitation of the FBI. It's offensive because we can't manage our own affairs. It's offensive because by doing so we're violating our own sovereignty. It's offensive because we know the FBI is just there as optics to fool us that something is going on, when in truth and in fact the FBI didn't need to be on the island to give information that the government is claiming that they're inviting the FBI in to give. And in fact, our own cybersecurity forces should be the ones that's conducting any kind of search for transfers of funds and all of that. Now, when we see FBI, a bunch of FBI persons who are law enforcement and will do their jobs, or I am praying that they'll do their jobs, but again, we know they didn't have to be here, and it's offensive because they're trying to fool us, because the government thinks Jamaicans are fools or we're idiots. So there's this constant abuse of power where they're trying to get us to fall in line by being again quiet on what's going on, because now the FBI is here to solve the problems. FBI not here to solve any problem. The FBI can't do anything to solve the problem. Most the FBI can do is give information, and that information that we should be able to access. Money transferred from one institution to the other is not difficult to trace. There's a electronic trail and there's a paper trail. And so why are we fooling ourselves to say the FBI needs to be here? But just like our government traditionally would set up tribunals whenever there's a major issue, they set up a tribunal to drag things out for months and months and months, and then nothing becomes of it, because then people become distracted and quiet and not pay attention to what's going on. So again, the offensive nature of what took place is again throwing insults into the Jamaican citizens' face, to say that, hey, we're incapable too, we're stupid, because now we're going to get the FBI's optics to show people that something is happening, and then we're so confident of the FBI that we're going to keep our mouths shut, and at the end of the day nothing comes of what is happening in terms of this country and corruption. And the average Jamaican might not realize how effective these corrupt behavior, or these corrupt individuals, execute their plans, and then at the end of the day it's the Jamaican people who suffer. And again, it's the Jamaican person who doesn't live abroad, who doesn't travel, who doesn't have income generated from external sources, and must rely on income and a strong economy locally to survive. But when you have persons committing the kind of crime that's ongoing, and we know it's ongoing, so let's stop being hypocrites and then pretend, oh, this is surprising. There's nothing surprising about what happened to Mr. Bolt and those other persons. I think they said 30 or 40 persons. It's no surprise, because before Mr. Bolt and those 30 odd or 40 odd other persons, I'm pretty sure when you check the bank's records or police reports, you're going to find, if not hundreds, thousands of persons who've been defrauded through the banks. And it's all quiet, of course, because nobody wants to highlight those things, because you're going to cost banks to go out of business. But some of them need to be out of business because they're just out there exploiting people. And again, I'll refer again to the fact that we allow banks to scam us legally. I don't know how legal it is anyway, but the government allows banks to scam us, going into our accounts, charging us monthly fees for our own money being in the account. Then there's a foolish secured loan program, and people fall for it. I just don't understand it. People going to a bank, a secured loan is one that you borrow against your account, meaning you borrow $50,000 from your account, and you can't draw that money out of your account. You can't do anything with it, and yet you're paying interest to a bank for using your own money. And the game is, you're borrowing money from us, but we're holding on to the money in your account, which is equivalent to what you borrowed. So how is that not borrowing your own money? And yet you're there paying all this interest on your money. Again, foolishly, people go for it, but that's scamming. That's what you call scamming. You disguise your actions to fool people that they're getting one thing when they're getting another, or not getting another. So here you are, borrowing your money and paying the bank interest on your own money, and it's not money you can go and access. So technically you're borrowing from yourself. So if you're borrowing from yourself, why pay a bank? Why not just go and pull your money, do whatever you're doing, discipline yourself and pay yourself the interest, or pay back yourself just like how you'd pay the bank? It's foolishness like this, or that kind of program, and people delve into it and put out all this money and think, oh, we're doing fine and the bank is our friend because they gave us a loan. No, they're treating us as if we're lack intelligence to recognize that if you discipline yourself, you can borrow from yourself, pay back yourself the same interest you're paying to the bank, because in effect you're borrowing your own money. So again, conscious action on our part is what's going to fix all this scamming, because by virtue of them using programs like that, and we're not objecting, in fact we're buying into it, by them going into our accounts, taking out our money, and then treating us as if they're doing us a favor, and we're going for it and tolerating it, means that again they're treating us, because we lack intelligence, because only foolish persons would accept that. But for the last 20 years it's been going on, and people grumble under the counter and they say nothing. But in effect, it's affecting your quality of life. It's affecting your ability to save, your ability to put away money towards your investment or your retirement, because every little extra money you may have ends up being taken from you from the bank, by the bank. And then of course the overall design of these economies is to make sure at the end of your days you have nothing left, or you have nothing left to pass to the next generation that's going to keep you alive into infinity. So here we are faced with policy from government which is not helpful, because governments tend to randomly raise taxes without giving consideration to the persons who they're taxing. Now, if inflation is rising astronomically and income is fixed, and some people are retired on retirement benefits that's paid by government, not increasing in any form or fashion, but then you turn around and those persons worked all their lives to buy some property and live in their homes, retired or not, and you seek to tax the heck out of them, knowing that these people are going to have money coming up, difficulty coming up with this extra taxation, this extra tax bill. But nothing is done in terms of considering those facts. And the sad thing about it, again, it taps into our intelligence, because these government officials or politicians who we elect to office are there to work for us, but then they go in and they pass laws that's draconian, oppressive, and takes from us our resources and our own savings, and destroy our ability to have a high quality of life. And then they turn around and not only tax the heck out of us, but then so many of them are involved in corruption, paying out money for jobs and then getting kickbacks. We know that's common, and if they don't get it directly, it goes to other persons that they're sponsoring. Ultimately, it boils down to one thing and one thing only: that corruption is destroying this country. Corruption is destroying us and destroying the ability for us to trust each other. And whether we like it or not, business, whether you're a retailer, whether you're a manufacturer, whether you're in banking, whether you're in investments, whether you're in construction, one party has to trust the other, and trust the other that they're going to do the right thing. And when we have a widespread lack of trust because of corruption, then you're always going to have failures in the economy, failures in your country. And again, we'll be looked at as overall a nation of criminals, because the world is not going to judge just one person. It's looking at what's happening overall in the economy, the number of incidents of theft and corruption, and the fact that nothing is done. Then the world is going to pretty much paint everybody with one broad brush. That once your accent is picked up, then all of a sudden people are going to say we can't trust these people. So we're moving from a nation of persons with the highest integrity to a nation where nobody will want you in their country, will trust you, or otherwise. So the bottom line is that every person that hears this video and what little I'm saying must take seriously what's happening in your country, because it affects you directly and indirectly. And when international loaner agencies look at your country and they're going to be giving loans or development loans, or it's investors coming in, then they're going to consider the fact that these people are high risk regardless. If you're coming to invest, then a part of your investment dollars will have to be factored in to include bribe and corruption fees, which again undermines the country, because people are driven away from investing in a country where the minute they walk in to do anything, your dollars and your money that you're coming to invest is going to be significantly more because of corruption. So it affects you. When you have law enforcement failing to deal with fraud and corruption, it affects you because they're leaving those persons out there to continue their practice. And when other persons seeing them continue these practices, they are going to say, well, if they're doing it and getting away with it, why should I be conforming to rules and laws and regulations? So it affects you as well. It affects us in the supermarkets, because when people steal in the supermarket, or they work there and they steal the stuff in the back and stick it in all kind of things. I heard in one instance, this wasn't in Jamaica, this was here in Florida. There's a particular meat supplier or retailer, and a lot of Caribbean people shop there and work there. And what I heard from one party is that what they used to travel all the way from Miami, and from Miami to West Palm Beach is almost 2.5 hours depending on traffic. Well, let's say 2 hours because of traffic. And they used to travel up from Miami and go to the back of the store and go in the garbage bin and load up their cars with meat. Now, what do you think's going to happen to that retailer? He's losing product that he knows he should have on his shelf. Now, our people are there going in and getting over by stealing it. The honest people going there now see prices going up and wonder why prices are going up. Because this retailer, whosoever it is, I will call any names, will have to mark up whatever else he has to sell to the other innocent or honest people, so to pay for the stuff that's being stolen. So again, and the same thing happens in Jamaica. People steal stuff figuring they're handing it off to their friend, and everybody is laugh and turn a blind eye, figure, well, they're getting over on the boss or the business owner. But in truth and in fact, you're hurting yourself, because the business owner is going to compensate that loss by billing you extra. So you have to pay more for the lumber, pay more for the paint, more for the glass, more for the food, more for the cabbage, more for the banana, because people are stealing. So again, don't just ignore what's happening in Jamaica and this whole corruption and fraud. But don't just focus on what's happening to Mr. Bolt or the others. There are other people out there who've been damaged, including me and my partners. Focus on how you can take action to make a difference. Sitting at home and listening to all these, content makers online is one thing, but sitting there and merely hitting a like button and not taking action that fixes this issue is not going to help us in the long run, or help you. And I keep saying you, because everything that's affecting us, affecting everybody that's lost money, and affecting you if you have money in the bank and they're sucking it out every month, then it means that it's affecting your lifestyle. It's affecting the quality of life you'll have, short term, long term. It's affecting your retirement. It's affecting your health. Because when you're stressed about how you're going to meet your financial obligations, including medical, your food, your basic utilities, then it's going to stress you out, and stress leads to most major illnesses. So I want to thank you for, again, taking the time to listen. Hopefully it does help, and I'm asking you to just share and go to the channel, my channel, which is Scamming Billions in Jamaica, at my channel, of course, Scamming Billions in Jamaica, and just listen to what I'm saying, or trying to get you to understand. Now, I'm not here just shooting off of the mouth. I'm actually looking to have solutions to fix this problem, because it's costing us, it's costing me, it's costing a lot. It's costing damage to my health, to my finances, relationships. And if it's affecting me and it's affecting Jamaica, it's affecting you. And it is. Because these people, again, a small handful of people, are costing Jamaica billions and billions of dollars in terms of investments, in terms of direct investments that's going to help the country and help you. Whether directly or indirectly, every positive dollar that comes into Jamaica and stays in Jamaica and circulates in Jamaica is going to help your economy. And so, again, take the time to reach out to a friend, have a discussion, sit and discuss these issues and decide what role can you play. But for now, please just share the video and the information, and let's do something positive. Nobody has gone for the reward that we're offering, the US 1 million that we're offering, and nobody has commented on the fact that we're willing to put up $5 more million tied into our developments, that to fight corruption in the courts specifically. And we're reaching out. We reach out to the law schools. We reach out to, we keep reaching out to law enforcement and bombarding them with, again, what's happening, questions, what's happening to our situation, and we're not getting anywhere. But the fact is, if you share this information and understand that this is significantly, our situation, believe it or not, is significantly more detrimental to the island of Jamaica than all the other scams or fraud that you've heard about recently and otherwise, including what happened to Mr. Bolt. We're talking about investments of 40-50 billion US dollars on approved projects that have been put on hold indefinitely because people in the Supreme Court are working with other persons outside attorneys. And I'll keep calling it John Graham and Company, Alexis Robinson from Miles Fletcher and Gordon. Those two particular individuals, and there are some in the background. I won't name their names because it's all in the documentation that we have in the courts. And again, projects that we wanted to move on here in January, we still have to be putting on hold, especially with what just happened with Mr. Bolt and the scamming. Because some of the issues that we're having is, where do we set up our escrow accounts? We can't trust setting them up in a bank in Jamaica, because if this banker is unscrupulous, all they have to do is crash the bank and keep our money, and then tell us we only can get 1,200 Jamaican dollars when you have billions and billions of US dollars in your account. So where do we set up our accounts? I hope you can see how this is affecting Jamaica, because now I have to consciously look at setting up accounts in other territories, because I don't want, when my joint venture partners, investors, tenants, lessees start depositing money into escrow accounts, then all a banker has to do in Jamaica is shut it down and run for the hills, and then spend a couple months in jail, and all our people's money are gone. And the other thing is, it does now damage the ability to complete projects, and therefore blacklist Jamaica as a country where you can safely put your investments. So it's not just affecting the victims who have lost money directly, it's affecting you. So understand that. that the message I'm sending is not this whole heap of talk about, Mr. Bolt and getting back his money, which he's not going to get back his money, or not get back all the money if he gets back any at all. Because as I said in a previous video, the fact that the money is missing, gone, those persons, unless they have it buried someplace that they'll confess that they have it buried, is money that's in the system somewhere, spent, investment, purchase other assets. The government having to go in and seize the company and seize its assets will have to distribute that money to all the victims. And pretty much the insurance policy that this company has is $1 million US, I think. So $1 million US can cover all those people who have lost 20 million US dollars, which is probably what it's going to amount to plus interest. Then we're talking about 40 or 50 million US dollars. So let's stop thinking about just the effects of what took place and try to come up with direct action that I have suggested. I've said to people, become a whistleblower. If you're working in the courts and you know who's been hiding documents, who's refusing to set dates, why they're refusing to set dates, all the people, because you're sitting there, you know who's doing it. So you come forward and collect that $1 million US dollars. If you're a police officer, if you know a police officer, a friend of a police officer, we no longer care if you're the fraud squad. You're a police officer. Go take the initiative and investigate the matter. Go to the courts, get all the documentation. Contact us, contact me. I'll give you all the evidence you need. Put together that file and take it over to the DPP's office, because the DPP is saying they need a file to prosecute the matter. And though I doubt that, if she's really serious, she can go ahead and get the evidence, or have her investigators go gather the evidence and charge these people. Because you can't have people like that operating, especially in the courts, because again it sends a message of not only the fact that we're incapable of managing our own affairs, but people aren't going to get justice. Justice delayed is justice denied. Thank you. Have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll work together somehow to solve these issues. And I keep reminding you, stop spending your money with the press. Go to social media. Click on those likes and subscription for all those persons who have been getting out the news, instead of the traditional media houses who come on and give you a snippet of nonsense, and then they're charging all kind of money for advertisement. These businesses that are advertising them, take your ads over to the guys on social media and pay them. They can stay on there for as long as they want. Pay them to advertise your products online, because then it's showing that you're in line with fighting this corruption. And where we have media houses and media personnel who refuse to expose the fraud only when it becomes public news already, because of other persons that are willing to take it up. Up to this week, a colleague of mine called to say they were in contact with the Mirror, and they wanted to find out about placing the ad about our link. And so we sent them the stuff, and one of the things that came out of the CEO for the company is that they don't want to be sued, or so I'm told. Again, you know how my position on that. If you're not in the media business, then get out of it. Alright, so thank you. Have a great weekend. As I said, looking forward to hearing from people who have positive ideas, want to do something that's important. If you are retired, semi-retired, working, have young kids, just graduating from school or college and don't know where you're going with your life, get in touch. Let's work together, because it's working together that will get us to where we want to be, both financially, socially, economically, and otherwise. All right, thank you. Have a good one now.